Savakinus. Welcome to our program in a nutshell. Today we have two very special guests, Marco Marcinko and Sarah Efforts. Marco Marcinko is a legendary local musician. He plays drums, bass, piano, keyboard, guitar, percussion, trombone, vocals. He's a musical director, arranger, and a producer of music in commercial jingles, independent films, off-Broadway, clubs, and theater. He was born in Archibald, Pennsylvania. He's done his training at the University of Miami, and he's the founder of the Pennsylvania Jazz Alliance and the Scranton Jazz Festival. He's the director of jazz studies at Penn State University, and over the past 25 years, he's performed with many celebrities. Our other guest, Sarah Efforts, is the owner of Blue Elefante Events, and for over 15 years, she has been creating unique fundraising events, cocktail and dinner parties, fashion shows, and musical events. She has a BA in Business Administration with concentrations in marketing and finance. Her home base is in northeastern Pennsylvania. She also has her master's degree in project management. She has created events throughout northeastern Pennsylvania, but she has also been in the Allentown area, the Philadelphia area, New York, and New Jersey. She's the executive director of marketing and events for the Scranton Jazz Festival. She's a wife and the mother of 3 children. So welcome, Sarah, and welcome, Marco, to our program.
Thank you, Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
I guess the first thing we should start off is let's talk about why both of you are sitting here. Let's talk about the Scranton Jazz Festival.
Yeah.
Marco, if you want to, because again, being one of the founders 15 plus years ago of the Jazz Festival.
Well, we've had this Jazz Festival for quite a long time, like you said, 15 years. This year we'll have our 16th year. Obviously last year, because of COVID and because of the problems that we were suffering with the pandemic, we weren't able to have the Jazz Festival, but we're having it now, and we're going to be back big and strong, and we're going to have it in the entire downtown Scranton area, utilizing over 20 venues in our downtown to bring economic development to those bars, restaurants, and coffee houses, places that have been hurting over the past year. So the festival is, doing due diligence with presenting great artists, great music in the world of jazz, blues, and world beat music, but also being extremely supportive and working together with our community.
I remember it was close to a year ago that I had you on the show and we talked about the Jazz Festival and everything, and unfortunately, due to the world pandemic health situation, COVID and everything, obviously it didn't happen.
Right.
So this year it has returned, and you said there's over approximately 20 venues and everything. So that kind of sounds like it's a nice way to not have major crowds in one particular area, but scattered throughout Scranton, downtown, and everything.
One of the reasons why we're doing it this way is so people could walk around, they could move around from place to place, they could hear some music in one place, then they could leave there, they could hear some music in another place, and we keep everyone moving around and keep it safe and CDC responsible and all of this good stuff that we have to do. And this is still a great way to have patronage happen in the restaurants, the bars, and the coffee houses, as well as other establishments in the downtown, and give the musicians an opportunity to play.
Sarah, I know it's a major event, and you have a lot to do with this as far as marketing it, promoting it, making it happen and everything. So tell us a little bit about what it's like for you preparing for the Jazz Festival, which is August 6th, 7th, and 8th. We want to make sure our audience knows the dates again for it.
Yeah, it's coming up soon. It's always the first weekend in August, and partnered with First Friday and Scranton Tomorrow. And pardon me. As far as the history of the Jazz Fest, I've been with them probably maybe 12, 13 years out of what is now the 16th year. And I always comically say it's a love-hate relationship because I absolutely love the Jazz Festival. We have an amazing team. We bring in amazing artists and community sponsors. But it's a lot of work and it's a hustle. And we've had really, really generous community sponsors, you included, of course, to help promote the festival. So between billboards, radio, TV, hitting social media, the websites, we try to hit all facets, print, of course, too. And so for many, many years, I've had to pull all that collateral together and let people know what's happening.
What makes it different this year for you to market this?
Well, I would say, given the fact that we don't have a main stage, is definitely a factor in the sense of there's a lot of logistics, of course, that are no longer going to be involved and incorporated. but that also leads to ticket sales. So one thing we hadn't mentioned yet is that this year's festival, for the first time ever, is going to be a completely free event. So given that we don't have the main stage, we can't sell tickets for 20 venues in downtown Scranton that are open to the public. So in lieu of that, obviously we'd be asking for donations and supporting the artists that are playing there. So marketing that is definitely a little bit different, a little bit more challenging, and making sure that people know that, this year, it's always been for the community, but this year it's being highlighted much differently. And we're hoping that some people that have not taken advantage of coming out that weekend for whatever reason will come out of the woodworks for the first time ever to hear the Jazz Festival and come and grab a bite to eat at one of their favorite downtown restaurants or grab a coffee and so on and so forth. And they get a little taste of what they might have been missing out on for 15 years.
And I'll add to that and say that the festival, we always try to have something unique and interesting each and every year that adds to the festival. And even when we were doing the main stage, each year something was slightly different than the year before that added to it. And one wonderful thing that's going to happen this year is a big fireworks display. On Saturday night, we're going to have a huge 4th of July type fireworks display for the community, for the kids, for the families, for people to come out and come to the festival, hear some music, get the fireworks around 9 o'clock at night, and it's going to be awesome.
I mean, it sounds like an amazing event when you consider that you're doing it for over 15 years.
Yeah.
Obviously, our audience and the people out there that love jazz music and everything, you can't beat the price. It's free.
Right.
You're going to have a chance to support 20-plus venues, restaurants, different areas in downtown Scranton, hear some great music, support all the different sponsors and everything, and enjoy fireworks and everything. There doesn't seem to be too much missing. And Marco, doing this for over 15 years and being the founder of this, what's missing, if anything?
No, I don't think anything's missing.
Okay.
I mean, maybe afterwards we'll look at each other and say, well, maybe we should have did this or maybe we should have did that. But as we're going into this weekend right now, and we always have had a great, as Sarah said before, with First Friday, a nice affiliation with utilizing that First Friday with our festival, putting a lot of music in the downtown. It's going to be just like New Orleans, or like if you went to New York City and you were in the West Village and you went from jazz club to blues club to all the various different spots you could just walk to. We're going to have that kind of feeling here in Scranton. It's going to be wonderful for anyone outside the area as well as our city, for the downtown living that's going on in the city now with all the apartments and all the wonderful things. Young people are moving right here into the city, and they need something to do. This is a perfect opportunity for them.
And it sounds like it's a great partnership, because I know like our county government always supports many things here in Lackawanna County. The city's supporting this and everything. So it sounds like it's a great opportunity to see community resources at work to benefit just the public in general.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's been great for them to see over the years their continued support of that, and seeing the value and the enrichment that it brings to the area. And it benefits everyone who's in the footprint of the downtown.
So Marco, I have to ask you, I mean, I read that nice intro for your amazing musical background and everything. So how proud are you of this jazz festival that you started over 15 plus years ago?
Well, I'm very proud of it. And when it first started, even prior to, just one little caveat to that, before it was even the jazz festival, it even goes back further to a summer music festival that we used to have at Naog Park because of Mayor Connors. And then through his administration, and then getting into Chris Doherty's administration, we had this jazz festival that a few of us got together to put it together and organize it and make it a wonderful thing. So I was one of the original founders in that respect. But I really pushed hard in those beginning days to say, look, not so much a music festival, let's get focused on just a jazz festival, because we could really use one like this in Scranton, because we have such a tie historically with the Dorsey Brothers and the Scranton Sirens and so many other great musicians that came from this area that were, really well known in jazz history. So I wanted to push hard for it, and we've done that, and here we are 16 years later. It's grown very well, and it has world acclaim and recognition from World News. U.S. News and World Report recognizes this festival as, if you're in Scranton, it's a great place to live, and this is a contribution to the reason why it's a great place to live in Scranton. So, yeah, I'm very proud.
And I always see like the cooperation that exists. So you're talking about it's a First Friday event as well. So you have your First Friday committee. I know the Lackawanna County Arts Department does a lot of supporting of various programming through the county commissioners and everything. Sarah, tell us a little bit then. So describe what's going to happen as the person who's putting all the marketing behind this. So Friday night it starts off. What time and what should we expect? And kind of give us a little walkthrough if you can.
Sure. So in conjunction, like we said, in partnership with First Friday, we're kicking off music at various venues, what we're calling a twilight set. So earlier in the evening, around 6:30. So some bands, depending on the venues, will start at 6, some 6:30. And they'll run throughout the downtown, and then later on in the evening, other bands are starting 7, 8, 9. They're all staggered so that given your family schedule, your dinner plans, you know, other commitments you may have, or how you'd like to structure your evening, there will always be music. And it also helps in the sense that, say you have one of our musicians that come in every couple years or every year that you love to see, and then there's someone new. The times are staggered, so you can catch a little bit of them, and then you can go to another venue and catch a little bit of them, and you don't really miss anything, as opposed to having, you know, 20 bands start at this time in these locations, and then they all stop, and then another set, and right? So we structured it that way. In addition to that, we're going to have trolley service, thanks with our partnership with Colts, for the first time ever. They have always supported First Friday, and they do a First Friday route, which we will be piggybacking off of, and they have generously provided that for us to promote for Friday night, but also providing it Saturday night from 6 to 9 p.m. So if you're down on Penn Avenue catching something and you want to get up to Trax Patio up at the Radisson, you don't have to do that walk if you don't want to do that walk. And it will have 7 stops throughout the downtown running continuously. And then same format for Saturday, as well with the trolleys, and they'll go till 9, and then we'll have another service providing till late night, because we'll have bands going until 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock at night. Yeah. So depends on how late you want to stay out that night, but we'll have music for you.
And Sarah doing all this wonderful design work. If people go to ScrantonJazzFestival.org and they see our website, that's because of Sarah and what she's able to bring to the table as a marketer and amazing designer. And we took an idea that because of the pandemic, we had this clever discussion this one time. We were talking about menus in restaurants and how no one was using menus, and they were all, you know, you just click your phone on the QR code and the menu comes up on your phone. So we said, why don't we do that with our program book for this year's Jazz Festival? So any venue you go to, if you want to know about the artist that's playing there, the venue that you're at, all you have to do is click on the QR code that's there and it comes right up on your phone. So we're using that technology to our advantage with this year's Jazz Festival. Yet again, another thing that's new and interesting than we didn't have before.
And just looking at the poster, and I see all the different venues. It looks like approximately 20 venues. So throughout downtown Scranton, there's approximately 20 venues. Yeah. You could stop, hear the music, have a drink, have something to eat, support that local business in addition to enjoying the music. I see you have a lot of sponsors. Sarah, how difficult is it to recruit a sponsor for an event that has this good track record, if I want to call it that?
Well, I mean, thankfully, we have a long-running history, and we've had some very, very faithful, generous sponsors throughout the years, and even through what they may have, suffered or experienced throughout the pandemic themselves in their own personal lives or their businesses, we've been really, really blessed and encouraged to see that they've still come on board to support the Jazz Festival. Now, given it's a catch-22, now given the pandemic as well, you also have to make up what you've lost, right, in that gap time. So we still are actively pursuing sponsors as well, but we've been really, really blessed. So we have a little bit, about 45 or so, 50 sponsors throughout the community, throughout Northeast Pennsylvania. And so we thank all of you for that.
We could always use more sponsors.
Always taking more sponsors.
We could always use more sponsors.
That door never closes.
No, it doesn't.
Marco, let me ask you a little bit about your amazing musical background and all that you've done and studied and accomplished and continue to do. Tell us a little bit about what we could expect as far as what the musicians are going to look like in your recruiting of getting these jazz musicians to be here.
Well, there's something for everyone because, sometimes people say, oh, it's a jazz festival. Well, I'm not going to like it because I don't like jazz. They don't, not realizing that all popular music has an element of jazz in it because it's truly American. It's truly an American art form, and it's what we gave to the world. It's truly democracy. It's truly everything that you could think of, you know, that this contribution that we've made in this melting pot of this country makes this popular contribution. So you're going to hear straight ahead jazz. You're going to hear New Orleans brass band type jazz. You're going to hear some world beat music jazz, even going towards the reggae style of Young Lion. They're going to be performing at the festival at one of the venues. You're going to hear the blues by numerous blues artists, one of them being the winner of last year's Blues Artist of the Year, Young Uprising Star Blues Artist of the Year, Mr. King Solomon Hicks, and he's going to be performing at the Rail Yard on Saturday night. So then you're going to have some fusion and some smooth jazz mixed with some Latin jazz. My group, the Marco Marcinko Latin Jazz Quintet, we do a lot of that, you know, in the lines of Dizzy Gillespie and Cachao and Mongo Santa Maria and the Latin jazz thing. And then we have some great vocalists that are coming. Ilona Knopfler, French jazz vocalist Ilona Knopfler, who's performed at our festival before. She'll be back. Michelle Lordy, she's another one out of the Philadelphia area that's an amazing singer. Again, King Solomon Hicks, Norman Taylor. So we have some killer vocalists as well. So it's a blend of people that are from outside the area that have maybe performed here before or not performed here ever but are coming for the first time, mixed with some great locals like the Indigo Moon Brass Band, which is a local group, or the Bog Swing Band, which is a local group. Mixed with that, yeah, Jacob Cole and his trio, and some regionals, you know, that might come from the Lehigh Valley or you know, just maybe close to Harrisburg or something like that. So it's a blend, and there's something for everyone. If you go to ScrantonJazzFestival.org, you'll see all the musicians, you'll see all the venues. It's very apropos. We even have a great jazz musician, Chuck Red, coming all the way up from Washington, D.C., and he'll be coming in for the weekend, and he'll be performing at the festival. So there's a lot of stuff to see. You know, it's high quality.
So after all the years of doing this then, so what is some of the feedback that you receive from some of the musicians that have come to Scranton, performed with the Jazz Festival, and want to return back again or take a little time off and come back again or something? What is some of the feedback that you hear?
Well, I'm going to let Sarah answer that one, because over the years, Sarah's been significant in help running the backstage and communicating a lot with a lot of those artists, and I know what they've said to me as you know, as artistic director, but I'll throw this over to Sarah and see what she has to say about it.
I'd say, you know, overall, they talk about, we've gotten a lot of feedback as far as the family feel of the festival. Like, it's a professional festival, and they expect professionalism, you know, and high caliber, you know, sound, high caliber fellow musicians, you know, staffing, volunteers. But when they come, you know, whether they've been involved with the festival many years or it's their first time ever performing, they're blown away at how intimate it still feels and how it functions. And when they come to the backstage, you know, and that's my job primarily too, with myself and the fellow volunteers, to make sure that they're welcomed, they have everything that they need, they know where they're going, you know, the when and the why. But it's just, it's a really, really warm environment. And I would say the other part that we hear a lot about is just the success of it in what many from the outside will look at as a very small region, you know, and say how the acts that are having multi-Grammy Award winning acts, you know, to other award-winning artists coming in to Scranton, Pennsylvania, to traditionally play on a main stage underneath a train shed at the Radisson Lackawanna Station Hotel, which is also extremely unique. And for those who have never performed at it before, their first time arriving, and they step behind the Radisson and they come into this mini amphitheater that we've created in this outdoor space, they're just, this is not what I was expecting. This is really, really cool. So they get excited about not just, you know, the performance itself and rubbing shoulders with other artists that they admire and look up to, but the environment as well.
Okay. I'm going to continue a little bit more with you, Sarah, though. And, you know, when I did my introduction, looking at your background and everything, so you've marketed events, you've put events together in the Allentown area, New York, New Jersey, places like that and everything. How far does the Jazz Festival extend beyond northeastern PA as far as marketing and drawing in audience members or, you know, families, things like that to come to our area?
Well, as far as the promotion goes, you know, we go as far as Philadelphia, Allentown, Bethlehem, a little bit up in New Jersey and New York, you know, catching that major hub region up and down the East Coast. And we've been fortunate as well over the years as it's grown and word of mouth has traveled, you know, in different jazz magazines too, picking up, doing articles and different stories on us and running advertising in there. You know, as Marco mentioned, Washington, D.C., you know, I know we've had people from Maine and New Hampshire come down. I mean, I would love to be able to know at the gate when people come in to say who's the furthest away, or ask them from the stage every year. We never think to do it, you know, but it really has been a destination, you know, that people mark their calendars for, you know, up and down the East Coast.
Yeah,
So.
jazz festivals are unique in a lot of ways, and a lot of people will try to find numerous jazz festivals and make that a summer package for themselves, go to a few of them. And we have quite a bit in Pennsylvania, and then on this eastern seaboard, I guess you could say, between New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Maryland, and so, and Delaware. So we see some of those people patronizing the festival over the years. It does have international acclaim because I get solicitations from European musicians. We're on tour. We would love to be able to play at the Scranton Jazz Festival, so they know about it.
We get a lot from the UK.
Yeah, we do.
Because I get those email inquiries and.
Yeah.
It's another event that puts us on the map in the rest of the world.
Yeah, I think so.
Absolutely.
I mean, both of you can be very proud of that. And again, that's August 6th, 7th, and 8th, the Jazz Festival again.
Yeah.
Mark, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about your background as well. I mean, you know, I didn't read the list, but there's so many celebrities and things that you've performed with musically over the last 25 years and everything, and, you know, getting your training in Miami and everything, but yet you make northeastern PA your home. Why is that? Why do you stay in this area when you probably could be out there on a larger venue, a larger scale?
Yeah, I've had opportunity to live in LA or New York and Nashville, DC, a lot of other places. And I narrow it down to a phrase that the great Scranton musician, music educator, James Buckley III, Esquire, once told me. He said, everyone's got to live somewhere, so why not live here? And we're close enough to the zone of all these other places. I like this area. I was born and raised here. A lot could happen here. There's wonderful people here. It's a great family. You could sleep, in a lot of ways, still leave your doors open at night, you know? So there's some wonderful things to attribute to our area. And so I live here, and I make it my home, and I try to do good things for the area, like the Jazz Festival and other projects.
And Sarah, I'm kind of going to ask you a similar question. I mean, you've had your business enterprises outside of the area, as I said earlier, New York, New Jersey, things like that. But what makes northeastern Pennsylvania special to you that you want to raise your family and be a part of these activities and planning and promoting us?
Well, I'll do a short start at the beginning because I was born in Dallas, Texas. And my mom and family had moved up here, so we had existing family in the area. When I was in elementary school, and so this has been my home the majority of my life. And when I went off to college and started my career, I was in Philadelphia, and I had stayed there for many years. And just through starting my own family, career changes, and looking at just what was important to me in the environment that I wanted to raise my children in, and then also be in an environment where I can really get involved on a deep level. In larger cities, it's difficult to do that. You have your little pocket, and that could be wonderful. You make the most of that, and you can have a big impact. But at the same token, my family was here. So, myself, my family, my kids, we moved here, back home. Going on, maybe almost 20 years ago now. So, no, I'm getting older. And it has just been an enriching experience, and we've all seen a lot of changes in the area, the ups and downs, and then the growth that it has been happening, especially over the last 10 years, has been remarkable, and it's encouraging to see that. And I think the biggest part of me was just wanting to be a part of it and seeing what I can contribute, and let my children see the value of living in northeastern Pennsylvania, outside of a big city, and where they can really dig in to and get exposed to a lot of art, a lot of culture, and just really wonderful people, honestly.
And I think we could say the same thing to you, Bob. Why do you make your home here? Because you got ties all over the place with the film business and all sorts of stuff that you do, and the same thing with our wonderful cameraman who's behind the scenes, Mr. Chris Bolton, as well. Why do you guys make your home here? I think it's probably similar to what we're saying, right?
It's definitely a similar answer because it is a great community. We have so much between all of our personalities and things that we have to offer, and we make it a great community because we get active and we participate in what we can make it even better.
Right.
And speaking of making it better, what's the future look like for the Jazz Festival? Marco, what are your thoughts? Where do you see it going down the road?
Nice little...
I love this. We might have two different answers on
Okay,
that.
well, nice little
Interesting.
lily pad jump right there. We just want to keep going in a forward direction, always having something new to approach with it. But I always want to keep it a jazz festival in the respect that what we've been doing, laying down this groundwork for all of these years. I see 16 years. I'd like to see another 16 and another 16. I'd like to see it passed on to another generation that feels as passionately about it as I do. And we want the biggest names, as we've had in the past, Grammy Award winning, legends. We want the biggest names in jazz, blues, and world beat artists to come to Scranton, Pennsylvania, blow everyone away with their wonderful talent, and be able to say that was a great time afterwards. That's what we want.
I want to add on to that too, just that comment it made me think of, is that for those that live in this area, you always think to hear exceptional music and artistry, you have to go to Philadelphia or New York, and buy tickets and do the travel and get the hotel room, and this great expense, and it be an excursion. And although that is wonderful, and it's great that we live so close to both of those destinations, but to be able to bring that to Scranton, to people's backyards, to enrich their life and enrich the community and say, hey, we're bringing these artists and this acclaim to you, and
That's
you
right.
don't have to drive 2 hours, 3 hours to experience that. We'd love to see that continue.
For the cost of what it would be to go to New York City, to go to the Blue Note, or to go to Town Hall, or to go, let's say you love classical music as well, you go to the Metropolitan Opera. It's going to cost you quite a bit versus here it is in your backyard, same quality, same brilliance, and this year we're going to offer it for free. That's important to us to do, because we want people to spend their money at the businesses of the restaurants, the bars, the coffee houses, and the other establishments that you'll see on the website that weekend for this festival. We want money to be spent patronizing these places to help them out, because that's what makes our community great, all of us working together in that respect.
And it's a great combination, as we said earlier in our conversation about First Friday, the county commissioners, the Arts Council, things like that, all working together to support this downtown Scranton and everything. Yeah. Marco, musically, where do you see yourself going in the next couple of years or so?
Oh, you're really on this.
We're here not only to talk about the Jazz Festival, but we want to talk about both of you as well as your individuals.
That 5-year plan they ask you about in college?
Yeah, I'm working on a lot of projects always. I'm doing some stuff in the commercial realm as well as the original music realm and the jazz realm. One thing that I'm disappointed that I wasn't able to do within the last 2 years because of the pandemic was go to Cuba. Every year I've been going to Cuba and playing with musicians down there, writing music for those musicians, getting things premiered down there at the Jazz Festival, and because of the situation, I haven't been able to get there. But I'm still writing and preparing mentally for it when it does happen again.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Sarah, what other events are you looking at planning, or is that still in the process, or besides the Jazz Festival?
Besides the Jazz Fest.
What's Sarah's future that she's working on now?
Well, honestly, during the pandemic, with everything shut down, everything was wiped out. And so it's been almost, as many of us have been reinventing a lot of what we do and getting an opportunity to be creative. And I think that's how my outlook has been how can I take the current circumstances and still produce, especially for particularly speaking, the nonprofit sector, because I do a lot of fundraisers. You know, how can we still come and support and produce something for them so they don't have an entire year and a half loss of some of their annual events? You know, what does that look like? Let's be creative and create something new. And so I spent a lot of time doing that. I'm privileged and honored to work with the Women's Resource Center just recently back in June. And we took their in-person event and made it virtual. And it was wonderful. It was a great experience. And looking ahead, now that a lot of the restrictions have lifted, the doors are opening back up again, I was thankful to see my email starting to get filled up, my phone's starting to ring again. So there's a lot of things coming up in the fall. And we're still looking at that hybrid model, if you will. So maybe in person, maybe pulled back a little bit. Some may be a hybrid where it's part virtual, a little bit of live, you know, and still all virtual. So, and it just depends on the nature of the event and whether it's, you know, a company or a nonprofit or a private family. So I'm looking forward to see what the rest of this year brings. And it's been encouraging to see people wanting to jump right back in again and start having those events.
So I guess basically then, just to recap, we have the Scranton Jazz Festival, August 6th, 7th, and 8th, in downtown Scranton at approximately 20 venues, give or take. Yeah. Come out, support it. It's a free event to enjoy the music, support those restaurants and businesses, purchase some food and drinks, spend some time enjoying the city for what it is. Right. It's a wonderful city. Fireworks display.
Saturday night.
Saturday night, a free fireworks display for the family.
9 o'clock.
Enjoy that. I don't know what else is there to offer with the Jazz Festival. Anything else? Did we miss anything?
We have some jazz brunches that are happening on Sunday. So anyone who wants to go to brunch, go on the website and see the places that are listed. Go and have a excellent, delicious meal and hear some more jazz. Okay. Yeah.
Well, why go to New Orleans when we have it all here?
When we have it right here.
Very true.
Were you going to say something?
Yeah, one thing I want to add is, like, you know, typically at the main stage, we would also just have our vendor tables as well. We're selling T-shirts and the commemorative posters for your favorite artists to sign and such, and we will still be doing that. That'll be posted on the website as well. We still have to figure out what venues we're going to provide that, because we can't do it in every single one, but at least 3 or 4. So we will have brand new T-shirts for sale. And we will be doing a button this year, which we've never done before. And that was actually in lieu of ticket sales. We came up with this idea. So in hopes that if you make a donation of $15 or more to the Scranton Jazz Festival, either online or that night via credit card or cash or whatever, we take everything except for Bitcoin. But you'll get a first ever Scranton Jazz Festival button, and so that'll be a nice little addition, and it helps support the artists, helps cover the costs, the hard costs that we have in lieu of those tickets. Okay.
Yeah. So not only come out and support the businesses and the artists themselves, but come out and support the Scranton Jazz Festival organization itself as a nonprofit that's trying to make a lot of great things happen in our city with the Jazz Festival for 15 plus years now.
Thank you.
So thank you, Marco Marcinko, for being our guest and for all the great musical talent that you provide to our area. Sarah Efforts, thank you for all that you do as well, for marketing, making these events happen in northeastern PA, because again, without personalities and the people like yourselves, we wouldn't have so many great things. So I'm going to ask our viewers to check out the Scranton Jazz Festival online, come out and enjoy a great evening, or several great evenings of everything. And I'm Bob Savakinus. This is In a Nutshell. Please tune in again to our next program.